Spoofs, parodies, whatever you call them, you know what I'm talking about. The movies that poke fun at a particular film or genre. And when it comes to comedies, they are some of the best, period. Not surprisingly, this was a challenging list for me to come up with because there are so many good spoof movies out there. I kept changing the order around and I couldn't decide if I should do a top 20 instead of a top 10, so take that for what it is. But nevertheless, here is my top 10 spoof movies.
Topper, Kent, you're up first. Show me what you can do.
Copy that, Pimple Fluffer Nutter.
Roger that, Milli Vanilli Chili Willy.
Kicking off my list is Hot Shots, the complete spoof of the 1986 hit Top Gun. Hot Shots stars Charlie Sheen filling in for Tom Cruise as the ace pilot Topper Harley. Also featured is Cary Elwes, Valeria Golino, and my personal favorite, Lloyd Bridges.
Many of you are wondering what's wrong with my pants. Well, they started running short of material right before they got to the knees, so don't give me any shit. I look out there at all of you wonderful guys, and I say to myself, what I wouldn't give to be 20 years younger and a woman.
Speaking of Lloyd Bridges, Hot Shots is written and directed by Jim Abrahams, who's written and directed several other familiar parodies featuring Lloyd. That said, it should come as no surprise that Hot Shots is chock full of the same style of slapstick comedy and sight gags. If you enjoy that style of comedy, this film is definitely for you. It's a fun spoof of Top Gun and the cast is all great, but if you ask me, Lloyd Bridges steals the show.
The morale in this base is shot to hell. Just look out there. Quiet. Hardly a man moving. Roy! Roy!
Number 9, Spaceballs. It's impossible to talk about parodies without mentioning Mel Brooks. He's one of the greats, and Spaceballs is a prime example of why. Released just 4 years after Return of the Jedi, Mel Brooks wasted no time to spoof the Star Wars trilogy.
Before you die, there is something you should know about us, Lone Star. I am your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate.
The cast is absolutely perfect. I mean, come on, Rick Moranis as Dark Helmet, one of the best incarnations of Darth Vader ever.
I can't breathe in this thing!
Along with John Candy as Barf and Bill Pullman as Lone Star.
On this ship, you're to refer to me as idiot, not you, Captain. I mean, you know what I mean.
Spaceballs even contains some pokes at Star Trek, Alien, and Planet of the Apes. There's no shortage of fourth wall breaking or meta humor. One of my personal favorites is Mel Brooks as Yogurt, making fun of the film's merchandising.
We put the picture's name on everything. Merchandising, merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made.
If you're even remotely a fan of Star Wars, Spaceballs is a must-watch.
Everybody got that? Good!
Number 8, Scary Movie. During the late 90s, there was a revival of teen slasher films sparking popular franchises like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. And that's exactly what the Wayans brothers spoof in Scary Movie, which is always funny to me because Scream is, by itself, a self-aware satirical horror film that made fun of several slasher cliches. But I digress. What makes Scary Movie so hilarious to me isn't slapstick or sight gags, but rather the complete exaggeration of every single character. Each character is a cliche on steroids. The jock, the stoner, the virgin, and my personal favorite, the in-your-face homosexual who really isn't.
Will this shirt make me look gay?
Nah, man.
What about now?
You know what? I think I knew her.
Really?
Yeah. She had a brother named Steve.
Yeah.
Long hair, pretty little mouth, perfect ass.
That was her.
Nah, I was talking about Steve. Whatever happened to him?
Even the deputy Dewey from Scream is spoofed into the form of Doofy, a disabled assistant for the police department.
Hey, Doofy, smell my fingers.
What's that?
That's when you know you become a man, Doofy.
Hey, Terry, smell my finger.
What the hell is that?
My ass.
It's funny to think that this is by far the newest movie on this list, yet it came out in the year 2000, nearly 21 years ago. If you're at all familiar with the Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer movies, your gut will be aching from laughter.
Oh, I gotta stop drinking.
Moving along at number 7 is Young Frankenstein. As I said, when it comes to parodies, Mel Brooks is one of the greats. Young Frankenstein, co-written by Gene Wilder, spoofs the classic Universal Frankenstein films, but also adds in some twists.
You're blue and you don't know where to go to. Why don't you go where fashion sits?
Shot in black and white to further add to the classic style, this parody follows Dr. Frederick Frankenstein,
That's Frankenstein.
the grandson of the infamous scientist, as he inherits the same castle and discovers his grandfather's process of reanimating a dead body. Young Frankenstein is full of all of the comedic elements you'd expect from a Mel Brooks film, from slapstick to sight gags, along with a lot of play on words and adult humor.
What knockers?
Oh, thank you, Doctor.
Every single member of the cast is stellar, with Peter Boyle as the monster, Marty Feldman as Igor,
No, it's pronounced Igor.
and Madeline Kahn as Elizabeth, just to name a few. Whether you enjoy the old classic monster movies or not, this parody will give you a laugh and put a smile on your face.
You know, I don't mean to embarrass you, but I'm a rather brilliant surgeon. Perhaps I could help you with that hump.
What hump?
Coming in at number 6 is The Naked Gun, written by the famous Zaz trio consisting of David Zucker, Jim Abrahams, and Jerry Zucker, the same trio that gave us other notable parodies like Airplane and Top Secret.
Lieutenant, the feeling is mutual. Nice to meet you, too. Cuban?
No, Dutch-Irish. My father was from Wales.
The Naked Gun features Leslie Nielsen at his very best as the film spoofs the police detective thriller, and more specifically, Police Squad, a canceled show created by the same trio. As you'd expect from any other Zaz film, this parody is crammed with one-liners, sight gags, wordplay, slapstick, and satirical comedy.
Not gonna be easy. Everywhere I look, something reminds me of her.
There's something on the side of your mouth, Al. No, the other side.
Nice beaver.
Thank you. I just had it stuffed.
Let me help you with that.
Leslie Nielsen is absolutely hysterical as a straight-faced detective Frank Drebin as he attempts to solve a criminal plot to assassinate the Queen of England.
Let's see if that uniform's on straight. What do you got back here? Let's see, the shirt. Well, you should take a large one. A little tight in the crotch.
I have to admit, it's still a bit strange seeing O.J. Simpson as Norberg in this film, especially playing a police detective. Nevertheless, no matter how many times I watch this film, I still find myself laughing nonstop and would say that this is one of Leslie Nielsen's funniest roles and one of the best Zaz films.
Excuse me. All right, move on. Nothing to see here. Please disperse. Nothing to see here, please.
No one is leaving this house.
At number 5 is Murder by Death. I would venture to guess that this is probably the least known movie on this list. Spoofing the whodunit and murder mystery movies, Murder by Death follows a group of detectives and their sidekicks who get invited to a mansion to solve a murder mystery. It's a silly plot carried out by a legendary cast, including Peter Falk, Maggie Smith, and even Al Guinness as the blind butler.
One moment, please, while I close the door.
I stumbled upon this gem about 10 years ago, and back then if you told me to name a whodunit comedy, I would have said Clue. Speaking of Clue, you may recognize Eileen Brennan, who coincidentally played Mrs. Peacock in Clue.
Lionel Twain has one interesting physical characteristic. He has no pinkies.
No pinkies? You mean Twain has only got 8 fingers?
No, he's got 10. He just doesn't have any pinkies.
Unlike most of the other movies on this list, Murder by Death plays out as more of a stage play than a film. It also has a slower build containing very little slapstick comedy and instead relying more heavily on wordplay, one-liners, and some visual gags.
Funny, I could have sworn
What, Dickie?
it sounded as though somebody snipped the wire.
Really? What did it sound like?
Snip.
If you're into the more subtle, sophisticated humor, this one's definitely for you. Check it out.
Inspector Perrier.
Très charmant.
I'm sorry, our room is so dusty.
My fault. I should have blown first.
Number 4, Blazing Saddles. Yet another Mel Brooks masterpiece. This one spoofs just about every stereotypical Western movie out there. And in typical Mel Brooks fashion, he takes a ton of stereotypes, flips them on their heads, and makes fun of it all.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
You have a smart, intelligent black sheriff, and nearly every white person, with the exception of Gene Wilder's character, are complete idiots.
You know, morons.
As you'd expect, the cast is spot on, with Cleavon Little, Gene Wilder, and Madeline Kahn all as great as ever.
What's your name?
Well, my name is Jim, but most people call me Jim.
Sadly, this is the only movie on the list that I have a hard time seeing being made today, at least without some heavy editing. But if anyone can and could get away with it, it's Mel Brooks.
Has anybody got a dime? I don't know, James. Somebody's got to go back and get a shitload of dimes.
Sliding in at number 3, Airplane. You knew this one was coming. It's easily one of the most iconic and popular parodies of all time.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Putting the Zaz Trio on the map, Airplane spoofs the popular disaster film genre, inducing laugh after laugh with constant sight gags, straight-faced wordplay, puns, and slapstick comedy.
Flight 209er, clear for Vector 324.
We have clearance, Clarence.
Roger, Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
It comes at you so fast and relentless that it's almost required that you watch it a second time just to try to catch all of the jokes.
We've got to land as soon as we can. This woman has to be gotten to a hospital.
A hospital? What is it?
It's a big building with patients, but that's not important right now.
You ever been in a cockpit before?
No, sir, I've never been up in a plane before.
You ever seen a grown man naked?
Every member of the cast is all nothing short of fantastic, with my personal favorites again being Leslie Nielsen and Lloyd Bridges.
Captain, how soon can you land?
I can't tell.
You can tell me. I'm a doctor.
It's like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking.
Airplane is a staple in the parody subgenre and should definitely be on your watch list if you haven't seen it.
I've got to get out of here. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Stewardess, please, let me handle this.
I've got to get
Calm down. Now get back to your seat. I'll take care of this. Calm down. Calm down. Get a hold of yourself.
Number 2, this is Spinal Tap. When it comes to mockumentaries, this is bar none the king of them all. It follows a fictional heavy metal band from the UK called Spinal Tap and follows them as they tour into Crisis. The band is comprised of comedians Michael McKean, Christopher Guest, and Harry Shearer, who in turn also recorded and performed all of the songs featured throughout the film. Directed by Rob Reiner, This is Spinal Tap is absolutely absurd, ridiculous, and downright hilarious. The fact that these guys improvise the majority of the film while keeping a straight face only adds to the charm. And it's done so well that there are times I still find myself forgetting that this is fake.
The numbers all go to 11. Look, right across the board. 11, 11,
and most of
11,
the
and then
amps go up to 10.
Exactly.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
Oh, and on that note, I'd highly recommend checking out the DVD or Blu-ray commentary track. All the members of the band stay in character as they comment on the film, as if it were real. It's awesome. And my number 1 spoof movie, Top Secret. This was no contest. Top Secret is without a doubt the funniest spoof movie I know of. This parody, again made by the Zaz Trio, spoofs not only the Cold War spy films, but also the musical Teen Idol films. The plot is silly and simple. In Val Kilmer's first starring role ever, he plays Nick Rivers, a rock and roll star that gets wrapped up in a rebellious rescue plot while performing on tour in Germany.
Nick, I'm sorry I won't be able to join you for dinner tonight,
I'm coming down with a sore throat, so I've decided to turn in early. Don't forget, you have to be at the theater at 8:30.
It's so absurd that it's funny all by itself. The amount of sight gags, one-liners, and wordplay is off the charts. It's nonstop laughter from beginning to end and never gets dull with repeated viewings. In fact, I still find myself laughing before certain gags that I know are coming, and I'm surprised to still pick up on visual gags I missed before. It's fun to see such a young Val Kilmer playing a character who's kind of a cross between Elvis and the Beach Boys. And yes, that is, in fact, Val Kilmer that actually performs those songs.
Well, get out on that floor and hit that rug tonight. We're gonna shake that rug till the early light.
When it comes to the Zaz films, Airplane tends to be the popular title most people think of, but to me, Top Secret is really their golden egg.
You mind if I have a swig of this?
Go right ahead.
What the hell is this stuff?
Gasoline.
Well, there's my top 10 spoof movies.
But wait! There's more!
Best in Show. If you like This Is Spinal Tap, you'll enjoy this one. Directed by Christopher Guest, this mockumentary follows 5 different participants of a prestigious dog show. It's outrageously funny, whether you're a dog lover or not. Austin Powers. This parody of spy films didn't make it on my list because, quite frankly, I wasn't into it. Now, that's not to take anything away from the comedic talent of Mike Myers, it just didn't hit the right spot for me, which is why I saved it for here. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. This film would have easily made my list, but I just couldn't decide if it was indeed a full-on parody or not. It became a subjective argument for me that I couldn't decide on, so in the end, I left it here. History of the World Part 1. This is another one of my favorite Mel Brooks flicks. I didn't include it on my list for the same reason as Monty Python and the Holy Grail. On one hand, you could argue that it parodies several historic moments, and on the other hand, it's simply a bunch of individual sketches and vignettes. Either way, it's a frickin' funny movie and you should see it if you haven't. And lastly, I'm including the Family Guy Star Wars trilogy.
Well, that's fine, but I don't see how that affects... What?
I really wanted to include these because I believe they may be the best parodies of the original Star Wars trilogy. They are so well done and hilarious, but alas, because none of them are actual features, I decided to lump them together and put them here. So, there you have it. But what about you? What are your favorite parody films? Leave me a comment and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.
It's good to be the king.